We shot a commercial in Paris, but wait, before you turn off the video, just watch it first. So yeah, that was basically the commercial in Paris, which was so insane to shoot there. I will just talk about this commercial step by step and just will tell you something about the concept, the pre-production, the editing, the production itself, and yeah, a little conclusion at the end. Basically similar to another video which I was also talking about, a commercial which we produced. So yeah, first up, concept. So the brand which we were filming for is producing clothes. And it was an exquisite collection. Like, the clothes were very aesthetic, very like a shirt when you go out for a restaurant or like for a date, something like that. So we chose the most exquisite location which came up to our mind, which is Paris, right? Makes sense. So we traveled to Paris, went there. It's just like 3 hours actually with the train from Stuttgart, where I live, which is actually not too far. I thought it would be like so much more far away, but yeah, so there's that. Back to the concept, and we wanted to keep it like simple, and you just saw it was just basically 2 guys walking around Paris, enjoying it, and we're just on the way to a party, but it was just like a start where they're just like getting dressed and go out, and then they're just walking around and just enjoy Paris, getting the coffee, which is basically the main part. And in the end, they meet together in a social gathering with their friends. And yeah, that's basically the story. It's very simple, very structured, but this is what we actually wanted to do. We just wanted to like a simple story. It's very necessary. It would be like completely random if they would just walk around and there would be like nothing else. So we choose that story, and yeah, small but good. Yeah, so the pre-production there was a lot to do. So for me, it was not too much because we were like a whole team. So shout out to the team who did a great job for organizing all of that. But I will sum it up to you. For me, I was mainly responsible for the equipment. So we filmed with a red Komodo, which can film up to 6K, which was my first time filming with that. We had like vintage lenses, like very like old school lenses, super size B speeds, which was amazing to film it, which was like a very nice vibe. Actually filmed most of the time with 25mm because it's just like a little bit, I don't know, you see more of the city. Later, more to that. Also, we had a RS3 Pro gimbal, and also to pull focus, because my hands were like pretty busy there, of course, because we had like a ring for the gimbal. We also had a nucleus. Also had a AC there who was helping me to do that, which I was very thankful for. Otherwise, it would be like pretty stressful, and it was very much needed. Yeah, and some other like essentials, CFast cards for the red Komodo, like batteries, filters and stuff like that, because filters were like super necessary. So we had to use a matte box as well, because it was like super sunny here, and the lenses were like too big for like a normal ND filter, which you can just screw in the front. So it was so necessary to have like an ND filter and different strength there. It's just like a sort of glass which you put in front of the lens, which is this is why we need a matte box here. So because we are traveling to a different city, new city, we had to oh my gosh, what was that? Because we went to Paris, which is like a new city for us. Some of us went there location scouting a day before, which is a day more to include, of course, but it was very necessary. Because of that, it was like more easy to get to some locations. We asked some owner of restaurants, cafes, if we could film here. Otherwise, if we would just show up with a 10-man crew, which would be like a little bit, I think a little bit too much, just to ask, hey, can we film something for a sec? We took like 3 days for shooting, and this was very necessary because we had a tight schedule here, because at the same time we had a photographer here who was taking photos of the models and I was filming these models. So we had 2 things going on at the same time, which was crazy. So this brought up a whole different dynamic, and we had like for one sequence 30 minutes. So it was enough of time, but it was like with the change of locations, it was like very crazy. And yeah, also the thing is, we had like a route for the locations, so we didn't waste time. So there's location A, there's location B, instead we go to location A, and then there's location C. I hope you get what I mean here. We had like a 10-man crew, which was crazy, which was pretty big for Paris, especially the traveling. And a funny thing is, we had our own bus, which was us driving us to different locations. I don't want to know how expensive that was. I feel like it was very expensive. Sometimes I had a little bit of trouble with the gimbal because it didn't really work that much. The motors of the gimbal were just like dying, and I was like, okay, what's going on? And just had to restart everything, calibrate it again, and do all the settings, but it worked somehow. And yeah, locations were like pretty much cafes, we had restaurants, we had like actually the location of Inception, which I can show you here, which is actually so cool. We were like at the exact same location here. I feel like you can't get enough if you're in Paris. It's just such an aesthetic city. Every corner looks pretty cool. There's also like a part of Paris which is like a little bit dirty and stuff. The part we were filming in, it was very aesthetic. Most of the time we used the 25mm lens because I feel like the wide angle just show you the city so good, and it just feels more organically. We woke up in the morning, getting into breakfast, started at 9 AM, which is actually pretty okay-ish time, I feel like. So it's not a sunrise. It was like a very good location to get to our film areas. That worked pretty good, actually. It's interesting to see 2 models acting because it's like a whole different thing. And I feel like it's manageable because there was no dialogue. I feel like if there was dialogue, it would be like a little bit... there's a potential that it's can get cringe, but it worked out pretty well with those guys. They did a great job, and they look so good. Oh my gosh, like so the editing was actually pretty simple. So because everything was set up before, we had our shot list, we knew which shots we were gonna edit. There were some shots we didn't use actually, so the editing process was like pretty not complicated, not like the other commercial I showed you like a few months ago. It was just basically cutting all the videos together and making that the viewer get a feeling and a vibe of the city and the aesthetics and of course the clothes. We actually filmed on purpose not only the clothes, because we just wanted to create a vibe. It's just like a trailer for the clothes. We added some sound effects which were like mainly pretty simple, which was, for example, just the streets, just the background music, Foley sounds, not something like super crazy, and because it just wouldn't suit the vibe. But it was kind of hard to find the right music here, and we were like researching a lot actually. And the problem is, because you do like a commercial production, it's kind of hard to find the right track, which is, yeah, pretty hard sometimes, because you need a license for that song and it's just kind of hard. But we found at one point a very good song for that, a matching sound, like French music kind of, and we mixed 2 songs actually together, which was kind of like very interesting. That could be like a very good placement for a music provider here, but it isn't, don't worry. So yeah, this was like just a very cool experience for me, and I feel like I'm like very close to you right now with my hand here pulling the focus. It was a very cool experience. I'm very thankful for. Shout out to the team, we did a great job here. And what I found out about filmmaking again here, it's just like very important to just function in a team, especially when you have like a big crew. And I feel just like the conclusion would be here: teamwork makes the dream work. Very kind of simple in a way and kind of cheesy, I know, but it is what it is, right? Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, goodbye.